right, guys. Our next guest has saved this upcoming weekend by stepping in on short notice as he takes on Jake Paul in a rematch this Saturday night. That's going to be Sunday in Australia. One of the greatest UFC welterweight champions in UFC history, Tyron the Chosen One Woodley. Welcome back to Submission Radio. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. Appreciate you guys having me on.
We appreciate you, man. And before we get into the action this weekend, I got to quickly get your thoughts, dude. This past weekend, Charles Oliveira successfully defending his title in the absolute barn burner against your former teammate and Dustin Poirier. Just got to get your quick thoughts. What did you think of that one? Seems like another classic added to the books.
It was kind of, a lot of people was giving Dustin some slack about, playing in a full guard for so long and things of that nature. But I really feel like when you've been at the top and his whole thing has been, he's not afraid to brawl. He's not afraid to get in and mix it up, and it's worked out well for him. And sometimes it worked to his detriment, but nonetheless, it's the reason why we want to watch him fight. So I feel like he really just wanted to secure that title. He's been in position many times, fell down, then he got himself back up to that position. So this is the second time he's fought for it. And that just the discouragement from him is probably, through the roof at this point. But I definitely want to just shout out Dustin. He's a phenomenal human being in general. He's just a great fighter. His work ethic is, unmatched, and he never has stopped chasing the title since the beginning. It wasn't just a lightweight division. He had some ups and downs in the featherweight when he was 1 or 2 fights away from a title, lost, and then built himself back up. So he's the king at building himself back up. So he'll be fine. He'll be back, and he'll look at some film and hopefully come back and try to do it again.
Yeah, for sure. Donating $20,000 to a charity of Charles Oliveira's choosing. The guy's just an absolute legend. Just quickly, I know he mentioned that welterweight could be an option for him. From what you've seen from him in the gym, do you think Dustin could have a run at welterweight?
I mean, Dustin spars everybody in the gym, so he can have a run at any weight. I mean, he spars middleweights, welterweights, and nobody. I've never seen anybody just own him. So I feel as if the weight cut, as you get to the point of your career where you have already established yourself, I speak for myself as well. I'm weighing it at 192 this upcoming week. And for me, that's a blessing in disguise. 170 was torturous on my body and my mind, and it made it 2 separate sports going on at the same time. You got the fight, the preparation, then you got the media and the stuff that goes with it. And the weight cutting was almost its own separate thing. So I feel like maybe he just want a different challenge. Maybe he sees something in Kamaru Usman that he can find some success with, and just open up a new challenge and new things to motivate you. As fighters, sometimes we need new motivating factors. If you had a crack at the title 2 times and you was unsuccessful, maybe a different division gives you another opportunity at another title.
That's interesting that you say that. Were you ever thinking about going up to middleweight when you were sort of in the UFC still? A lot of successful fighters like Robert Whittaker, obviously, having title runs, moving up.
Yeah, when I was in the UFC, it was actually, I was set to fight Kamaru Usman, and maybe it was a situation where I was looking too far down the crosshairs. I was literally scheduled to fight him in March. I was supposed to fight Colby Covington in June of 2019 in Chicago. Then after that, I was supposed to fight whoever was the middleweight champion towards the end of the year. That was my plan for that year. And obviously, the sport of mixed martial arts, you got all these different variables, these upsets. You're seeing with Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena, and you can't really think so far down the road and predict. So, yeah, I definitely wanted to clear out the division. I felt like Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington was very important, but I had already had plans on moving up to 185 after that.
Well, in the spirit of sticking to this weekend, take us into this, man, because I know you said yourself you were already training and you had a feeling that you may step in. Take us into that. Why did you think that this fight was going to happen despite Tommy Fury already being booked? What was it that gave you that feeling? And I believe you started training around October, right? September, October?
Yeah, I just really felt like the fight didn't make a lot of sense. It was more so Jake likes to try to he cares about what people think, he cares about what the fans say, the critics say, and he wants to be respected as a real fighter. So fighting Tommy Fury, who's a quote unquote boxer, he felt as if it was going to give him some credibility and validate him as a boxer. As far as the fight having controversy, one judge saying I won the fight, and many fans actually thinking I won the fight. And actually, I went back and watched the fight myself. I feel like I won round 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And even in the first 3 rounds, it was not a lot going on. And he may have thrown a lot more, but he wasn't really landing. So at the end of the day, I felt like I won the fight. The fans were more excited about that fight. And they were talking more about me and Jake than they worried ever about him and Tommy. So it just didn't sit like that's the way that the storyline would end or the movie would end between me and Jake. I feel like it's going to be multiple fights. And, you know, I told my coach, I flew him out to St. Louis. I said, let's start training, man. Let's get prepared. I don't feel like this fight's going to happen. Something in my spirit tells me that the fight will not happen. And there's been times where opportunities came up and it was like, hey, Tyron, you know, do you want to step in on this fight or do you want to fight for the title or whatever the case may be, all the way back to Strikeforce. And I was of the era of thinking you needed a break after you fought. Oh, I fought, trained, I need a 3-month break and you know what I mean, all that stuff. And I took myself out of position. This time I didn't want that to happen. I'm blessed and I'm thankful that I was ready and that I was training, that I was mentally prepared. I had already started kind of like getting my diet together, you know, just trying to cut out all of the fat food that I was eating on set. And look at where we're at now. We're fighting Saturday, December 18th in Tampa, and I'm going to look in better shape than he is.
How many times have you rewatched that first fight? And what stands out to you when you rewatch it?
I watched it for the first time 2 days ago. I hadn't watched it before then. And what stood out to me then is he, first of all, he lost. That's the first thing that stood out. I felt like he lost when I was in there, but when I watched the film, just not even just saying it because it's me. Round 4 was clear that I won that fight. He never got the momentum after that. Even towards the end of the third round, I landed that big right hand. I took the momentum with that punch, and I had it for the rest of the fight. So he never regained the momentum. He never won a round after that. And that's without even, you know, the blatant fact that the ropes held him up and he should have been given a count, which would have made that round 10-8. Also would have put him against the ropes, would have put the referee in his face, counting to 10, and everybody in the crowd knowing that he'd been knocked down, and also me getting a chance to go across from him, reset, and go walk across to try to finish the deal off. All those dynamics really, really changed the fight. I think it's moments in the fight where he threw punches and he could have paid a bigger consequence for even swinging towards my face in the first place. And I think that's the difference maker, just all the moments, every little bit, not allowing anything to go to the judges or any discrepancy, just make it a clear dominant victory.
Yeah, because I heard you saying recently that, you know, you made a miss, but you weren't able to make him pay. And I think that's kind of going to be...
I wasn't able to. I just said for some reason I allowed him to swing. And I don't know if I was complacent. You know, in boxing, it's a lot coming at you. It's a lot of different punches, angles, and different styles of fighters. But I made him miss, but I did make him pay every time. Sometimes I did make him pay. But I was slipping, I was rolling, I was catching punches. Some punches got through and hit me, and I think I surprised him with my chin. He hit me 4 times really flush that I remember. I'm pretty sure it was more than 4 over the whole fight. Before that, I remember at those moments, and I kind of was rocked a little bit, and then I just got right back at it and went right straight forward towards him, and I think that kind of threw him off a little bit.
Oh, do you think that in some way you respected him too much? And do you think now that you've been in there with him, you've taken his best shots and you were able to, you know, walk through them? How much of a difference maker do you think that is?
I mean, hindsight is 20/20. I can say I respected him too much, or I can look at Nate Robinson that walked in there and ran to a punch and got smoked, and my teammate Ben Askren kind of did the same thing where his hands wasn't in a proper position. You know, if he got punching power, no matter who it is, like many people try to knock Ben out. Robbie Lawler and all these heavy hitting punchers, and they weren't able to with 4-ounce gloves on. So he was able to get it done with 10-ounce gloves on. And, you know, you got to really think about that. So I'm not saying that I was fearful. You saw me walking forward regardless. I got hit with it. I walked forward regardless. He threw punches, either hit my gloves or clipped me, and I still walked forward. So I wasn't scared of getting punched. My training partners punch a lot harder, and they're more skilled than him. But I just didn't want to be reckless. And I think it's a happy medium. I got to find a line of, you know, not crossing the line and just being reckless and just not having my defense, but also not being as patient as I was.
Obviously, a former champion with, you know, a great history of fights, but how weird or different was it for you to actually have your first boxing match? Because even though Jake isn't as experienced as you, he's been boxing for a little bit and he's been in the game for a while now. Was it really kind of strange, and did it throw you off at all, the boxing rules and being in the boxing ring? And was it a little bit different to what you expected when you were in there?
It was different because, you know, I had just never boxed before. So I expected it. You know, as you saw, I came in shape. I was ready. You know, I looked as if it wasn't my first time in the boxing ring. I felt good when I was in there. Nothing that he did surprised me, if that's part of the question. And it wasn't like I wasn't used to walking into a big arena that was kind of sold out. I fought in, Madison Square Garden. You know what I mean? The biggest gate that they've ever had there was when we fought UFC 205. So I'm not used to the Starlight and just big fights, but boxing was just something that I've always wanted to do. So it was fun, it was enjoyable, and I really just, for the first time, really kind of enjoyed the moments. You never saw me in MMA between rounds, kind of like getting the other dude face or like, get the crowd pumped up, and that's something I was able to do in this boxing fight. So I just plan on doing more of that, having more fun, and going out there and getting a knockout.
You mentioned how he's essentially put a bounty on his head with this $500,000 stipulation if you knock him out. Obviously part of it is him wanting to prove the legitimacy of his fights, which is kind of like what you said before, where he does care and he does want to prove things to people.
He does care, and he's younger, and he's of the the YouTube world where comments can be brutal, and Instagram, and everything they do is planned out with skits and captions. This is what he actually does for a living. Like, I fight for a living. This is his part-time job. His thing he does for a living is content and, lifestyle content and sizzle reels and pranks and, challenges. And that's what he does. So for me, I'm really to the point in my life where I really just don't give a fuck. I just really don't. And some people say that, but they don't really mean it. I don't care what people say about me. I don't care what people think. I only care about what my family thinks and care, and those are the people that I fight for, and they eat when I eat, so I don't care. So him really letting the fans and people talking about no competition, no knockout clause and all this other stuff, he's adding additional pressure to himself. I don't add no pressure to myself. I don't care what people say.
Do you think, well, that's exactly what I was saying. Like, do you think it's smart? Because $500,000 is a lot of money to put up, to basically.
He was going to get knocked out anyway, so he just added couple more course of cheese to the macaroni. So he was gonna get knocked out anyway. And of course I'm gonna accept that because, at the end of the day, that was my plan. Does that 500,000 make me want to do it even more? I don't know, because I already wanted to do it anyway.
And well, by the way, what did you make of all these rumors of there being like a no knockout clause put in the contract for the last fight? Can we settle those rumors once and for all?
I just let people talk, because I know one thing in our sport, people, if they're talking about you good, if they're talking about you bad, they want to see you fight. So I didn't feel obligated to alleviate some rumor, to correct it, to say it was right and say it was wrong. All I'm saying is I'm going to knock his ass out December 18th, and they're going to give me another $500,000 to do so. So I appreciate them. Thank you for putting a bag on your own head, and he ain't the sharpest tool in the toolbox for doing so, but I'm not gonna say no to it.
And then you guys will do it again, right? There'll be a third fight in theory.
Be a third fight, and I'm gonna just rob the bank on that one.
I gotta ask, like, how did the rematch clause come about? I think it was Mark Raimondi from ESPN who you told there is a rematch clause. How did that come about? Is it something that you personally asked for, or something that you managed?
He cares what people think, and obviously, if the judges would have scored a card how it was, which would have been a loss, I would have been put in position for a rematch. And he wanted the chance for me not to move on, fight him, make a lot of money. Basically put myself in a position where a lot of people are viewing it, and then go on and fight bigger and better fights based on him. So he wanted that chance to have the ability to negotiate a rematch before I opened up to any other offer. So that rematch clause just basically carried over to this new contract. So they just brought over the same rematch clause as they did the first time.
Nice. And then the big question is, of course, how's everyone going to watch the fight this coming weekend? I know everyone can watch it at fight.tv. I think it's 1 p.m. This Monday here in Australia. But I know, like, in the past when I've been traveling, I've been to, like, I think one time I was in Thailand, and me and the boys wanted to watch the UFC. And of course, thanks to geo-blocking, we couldn't. That's where, our good friends NordVPN come in and save the day. With one click, you can access content from over 59 countries by changing your virtual location. So maybe you're somewhere where, you can't access fight.tv or can't access pay-per-view. NordVPN solves your problem. And thanks to them, you get amazing speed. Thanks to NordLynx, no more bandwidth throttling. You can stream securely. You connect with one click. Avoid buffering. Nothing worse than watching any live sports and having buffering every 2 seconds, and then no more bandwidth throttling like you get with some of the free ones, and you stream securely. If you're in some, dodgy country and you're connecting to some dodgy Wi-Fi or hotspot, you want to watch the fights, but you want to do it safely. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, man. And it's the equivalent of buying a cup of coffee every month, a small price to pay for premium cybersecurity. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee if you guys don't like NordVPN and think it is not for you. So there is no risk at all. Grab NordVPN's holiday season deal. Go to nordvpn.com/submission and get up to 73% off your NordVPN plan plus a free month. That's code word submission, or click the link in the description below. And Cass, man, I can't wait for this Tyron Woodley-Jake Paul fight happening this weekend. It's so great to catch up with Wood before he steps in there. But there's only one place so you guys can make some serious money on this fight, and that is with our friends at MyBookie. Let's have a look at the odds right here. Jake Paul minus 255, Tyron Woodley plus 205. What kind of crazy bets are you going to be putting down this weekend? Make sure to use the code word submission and double your first deposit with the code word submission. That's the code word submission. Don't forget that code word. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with our friends at MyBookie.
Yeah, that's right. Also, it's holiday season and there are stockings to be stuffed and elves to be cuffed. And what better way to celebrate than with shaved balls, smooth ass balls? Santa's not the only one with a smooth sack in town. It can be you, and everyone in your life is going to be happier for it. The good friends at Manscaped with the Lawnmower 4.0, the best grooming tool on the market. Not just restricted to your junk. You can shave your arms, you can shave your beard. I use it on my ear hair all the time because I'm becoming an old man and, those things are going crazy. LED light, it is waterproof, 7,000 RPMs of pure power, but you've also got the skin-safe technology, so never cut yourself again. You've got different guards for different lengths and textures. You've got the travel lock, so you can chuck it in your bag while you're traveling and not have to worry that, TSA is going to open it up. It's going to be buzzing all through the ride and drain your battery. Also, the Performance Package 4.0 comes with not only that, but the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, and you also get the Crop Preserver ball deodorant and Crop Reviver ball toner to maximize your ball hygiene routine this Christmas. Oh, and free underwear and the Shed travel bag to take it all. And they're giving a sexy holiday discount. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, man. Get 20% off and free shipping today with a code word submission. That's 20% off and free shipping today. Change your life forever thanks to Manscaped. But Tyron, last time things got a little bit out of control during fight week with the presses and some of the stuff with your family. What are you expecting from this fight week? And did you guys discuss some ground rules or anything? Any lines that can't be crossed?
I expect him to try to do something rough with my feathers. He's a kid, that's what I also got to remember. It's going to be something antics. He's already started the social media stuff. He's sending me DMs and, So I'm already expecting that, but the disrespect won't be tolerated. So if they do that again, last time they got, a warning, this time it's going to be action. So I don't think that's going to happen. But I do expect shenanigans. I expect him to do some BS at the press conference, to try to say some things, get underneath my skin. That's what he does, and he's a fan. Let's be clear. He is a fan. He has been a fan, not only of myself, but just of combat sports and what fighters. The respect we get, the way people view us as savages, and he wants to be it so bad that he's put down some of the other things he was doing just to focus on it. So the mental warfare, he's watching all the guys that kind of talk shit at the press conference, and he's trying to mimic that. And so he's trying to do all of it. So I kind of know what to expect without even walking in the fight week.
Does a part of you kind of respect him, though, on the part of all right, Tommy Fury is out, but then he's like, I'll still fight Tyron Woodley. I'll still stay on this card.
I never thought he was going to fight me again.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to just walk around and just took that little gift and not fight me again. So, yeah, I respect him for that because he didn't have to do it. It's not like he's short on change or he couldn't just reschedule for a different date. So, yeah, I think he just, once again, like I said, he cares about what people think, and he wants to step up and show people that he'll do a last minute fight because that's what fighters do. So it's not going to work out to his benefit, though, because he's going to get knocked out.
I know, Jake's pretty easy on the outside to kind of look at and go, he's a troll, is this and that. Very polarizing. But then he's also, challenging Dana White on fighter pay and this and that. And, people kind of really didn't take him seriously in combat sports at all. But then, looking at that, do you think he's good or bad for combat sports ultimately? Especially if...
it's not combat sports. It's entertainment. If it's combat sport, then we don't need to talk to you. We don't give a fuck what the people say that are watching the sport and on Twitter telling us how to fight. If it was a sport, it goes on who wins, who loses, who advances, who's in the playoffs, who's in the championships. That's a sport. When you have to basically wear a certain type of suit, talk enough crap, and make people hate you or love you to get to certain fights, and it's not based on your ranking, not based upon what you've done. Now we're in entertainment. But we're doing a sport, but we're really entertainers. So as an entertainer in the entertainment industry, of course, he's an entertainer. He gets people to watch. He gets people to hate him. He gets tons of views on all the stuff he does. So he makes people feel away. So I don't understand how he could be bad.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I have to ask you this. I know that it's fight week, so obviously I want to respect, this upcoming fight, and that's what we're here to talk about. But obviously Dan Hardy was on our show, which is why we want to ask you, he said that he had a contract, and I know you want to be busy next year, and, let's assume, I know we don't want to look too far ahead, this trilogy may happen, but is there any interest to fight Dan Hardy potentially sometime in the future, maybe one of your 4 fights next year?
Dan Hardy's a side piece. He's sitting there trying to utilize my credentials and utilize the basically, it wasn't one person that made that fight big. It was me and Jake. Me and Jake did something historical. We made a huge fight. We got people involved we want to watch. He wanted to try to utilize that to try to put himself in position to fight. You haven't fought in 10 years. So if I wanted just a little easy walk through fight and I feel like just walking in and beating somebody up, maybe I'll entertain it. But I never signed a contract to fight him. Some people in London were talking to my management team about me fighting him, and I listened, but I didn't commit. So at the end of the day, I'm focused more on this. This is more exciting. More people care about this. Nobody even knows who he is. Even as an analyst, he's a decent analyst, but he's not the top. I was the top analyst. So when you just separate what he did in the sport, his best attribute is lasting against GSP without being finished. He's not the best analyst. He wasn't the best fighter. Nobody really wears or cares about a colored mohawk anymore. And he's trying to piggyback off of me and cloud chasing as a grown man. So it's kind of embarrassing. But I'm not against anything in 2022. But when it comes down to boxing, if this trilogy with Jake goes the way I planned, it's more like it's like Apollo versus what's the one dude from Rocky? The dude taking on steroids. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like I need something that excites me. Like when you see Dan Hardy name on a piece of paper, it don't make me just like, oh, I got to do this. You know what I mean? Avenging a loss or fighting somebody big or super fights and things like that. At my point in my life right now, that gets me out the bed, gets me training. So. Dan Hardy, take a ticket, take a number.
Just going back to this fight, Tyron, and we'll let you go in just a second. If you do go out there and knock out Jake Paul,
win.
Yeah. Do you believe he'll stick around for a third fight, or do you think he might be done once something like that happens to him?
I think he got enough screws loose that he will. I think the fact he took this fight on last minute notice says a lot. First time I fought him, I didn't have any footage. I had 1 and 2 rounds total combined of all his fights, and no sparring, no shadow boxing hardly. He really, he cares, because if he's shadow boxing looks stupid, then everybody's going to talk about him. So he's delicate. This is sensitive to him. It's like, if I do music, when I do a song, if somebody says something on my song, I want to beat their ass, because something that you knew and passionate about, that's your baby, you're really protective over it. MMA, you've been doing it for so many years. I got so many accolades that state differently. If somebody said I'm suck or I'm terrible, I'm trash, I'm a 5-time world champion in the toughest division in the history of the sport, beating the toughest guys. You can't tell me I'm trash when I had 17 years of proving you differently. So I'm less likely to be sensitive about that. If I tell him, oh, you're a troll, he's not going to care about that. He's going to say, yeah, I am a troll. That's how I made millions of dollars by trolling. But when you come and talk about his technique and his fighting, his coaching, and his quality of his opponents, and is he taking PEDs, and you got a knockout clause, he's going to constantly try to prove those things wrong. So I think the rematch will happen just because his pride and his I don't know what's the right way. Just the fact that he gives a fuck so much about what people say, it's gonna make him step in and take that fight on pride.
Awesome, man. Well, just last one from us, and then we'll let you go, Tyrant. I know that obviously you come in there to take his head off. You want to knock him out. But just on a more sort of personal level, what do you want to prove in this fight? And what do you want people to take away from you and your performance by the end of the night?
I just want to go out there and just let go. And for me, it's never really been about someone beating me because they're better or because my time has passed or because, you know what I mean, they have better coaching. It's always been about me for some reason not letting go. And when I let go, nobody can touch me. When I didn't let go, I let people into the fights that never should have been in the fights with me. I beat the best guys. I beat the most vicious guys, the toughest guys, the people that on paper presented me with the most problems. And then I lost to 3. I'm going to go ahead and call everybody goofy. I lost to 6 goofy motherfuckers in a row, and that does not sit well. Kamaru, Gilbert, Luke, I won't call it Luke goofy. I like Luke. Kobe, Jake, like that's kind of burning. I beat the Natural Born Killer, the freaking Gorilla, the Ruthless, all these guys that, like, you know what I mean, are vicious and just without even talking trash, their record speaks for themselves. I defeated those guys in their craft. I'll brawl the brawler. I'll struck the striker. I'll point fight at the point fighter. When we look at Wonder Boy, you know what I mean? I did what they did best against them, and I beat them in it. And that means a lot to me. So for me to lose to a whole bunch of goofies after that don't sit well. So now this is kind of about redemption for myself. Go out there and just show what I'm capable of.
And just on that, like as someone who's obviously not a fighter, I've always wondered what is the hardest thing about letting go? People kind of, make it seem like, oh, it's just so easy, throw more punches. But what is the biggest kind of hardest thing or mental hurdle about letting go?
Probably overthinking, overanalyzing. Sometimes you become so skilled and you learn so many techniques and defenses and counters, and you're so cautious and you know what could come, and you just really want to be perfect. And I think perfection sometimes gets in the way of mastery. You want to master it. I want to be a master at martial arts. So when you're seeking for mastery, you can't confuse that with perfection. Sometimes you got to get a little ugly and grimy and get in there and maybe get hit a couple times to push yourself in position to get that opening. Sometimes out in the open and the safe terrains, there's no real knockout openings there. So, but you also can't just do it every moment of the fight. You got to pick and choose. And I think picking and choosing those moments is what makes it hard.
Well, it's an exciting finish to the year here. Thanks to this next man who saves the card. He takes on Jake Paul Saturday, December 18th, 19th, which is a Sunday here in Australia and New Zealand. Catch it in Australia at 1 p.m. on Fight TV. Tyron Woodley, best of luck, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us.
You guys welcome. Thank you.